Hey, welcome to another episode of Inquiring Minds. I'm Steve Harper, and with me, as always, is the amazing Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm great, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for today's conversation. I think that it is timely for me in a lot of ways. What are we talking about?
So, Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And, I look at it, our mindsets are our truths, and our actions support those mindsets.
Yeah.
So, if our truth really does not serve us, we're still going to act to support that truth. And I think that that's a good reality check. What is our mindset? What are we holding on to? And if that's our truth, are we supporting it? If our truth isn't supporting us, are we still stubborn enough to keep on that path and support it? So I want to throw it out to you.
Yeah, I think this is an important conversation because I think that like a lot of these topics that we've brought up, right? They're things that people don't often think about. What is my mindset right now? What is my approach to what I'm doing professionally or for my career path or how how I'm participating in this thing we call life? And I think mindset is an important thing to visit often because often if you are stuck in a particular kind of holds, right? Particular, kind of a, muddled way of looking at things, your prospects, your opportunities, where you're at, professionally, you often find that you're just stuck and you don't realize that you're stuck, but you have a big role in that because of the mindset that you're continuing to allow to play out.
Oh yeah, exactly. And how do you get unstuck? First, you need to realize that you're creating roadblocks for yourself. Your attitude is keeping you from expanding, growing, evolving. So that mindset is critical because it could either enable you to be more of who you are and do better,
Mm-hmm.
or it could keep telling you I'm right, they're wrong, which case stubbornness will be the game of the day, and that's not going to get you anywhere. It'll stop you, it'll stop a relationship from healing, strengthening, whatever you want. It'll stop you from evolving in life because you might be right in some ways, but maybe not always.
Yeah.
Your mindset needs to be flexible enough to look at multiple perspectives and to seek to understand as much as do.
Yes. Yeah, I think that if you are when I'm thinking about, Henry Ford's quote, right? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It really drives that home, and I could see probably, throwing that out in a coaching conversation or with a consulting client and getting that eye roll because, it's yeah, of course that's obvious. But I am not ever falling victim to that. And the reality is that most people always look at the exterior, right? What's happening around them, what's happening with, a colleague or, other people within their personal or professional network, but they often won't take the time necessary to look at where they are and how stuck they may be or where or why, celebrating some of the successes they've had could be directly attributed to that mindset that they had, that they didn't have that give up, they didn't, look at the downside or the potential for an idea not working, they just didn't stop, to contemplate that failure was an option. Their mindset was success was the option and it was the only option, right? And so I think in a lot of ways that it is sort of important for us to really embrace that mindset, recognize when it's not going well and the negativity of our mindset is holding us back. And you only get there if you're looking, right? But also be able to celebrate and sort of draft off. I use a racing term, right? But draft off that positive momentum that you're creating with the mindset that is helping you achieve whatever it is that you have before you.
That's exactly right. And some people will attack because you don't give them what they want. And their mindset is saying, this is where I want to go, Why are you standing in my way?
Yep. Or you're
Sometimes
trying to
when
hold me back. Yep.
that's right.
Yep.
And sometimes when you're not successful, you are probably going to be more successful because this is a huge learning moment. This is a huge learning curve. And when the world doesn't hand you on a silver platter what you want, just because you want it and your mindset is, I'm going to go after that. There's so many factors here. As coaches, we often tell clients, go after your dream, figure out what you want, and create a roadmap to get there. And what they do is they're the cheering section and everything else. However, this is the caveat part. The caveat part is, what if your client, say you, Steve, what if you wanted to be a professional singer and out on the road and famous and cutting records and all that kind of stuff, and you have no voice to do it? I could sort of, I'm not going to go there, but anyway,
Were
um,
you were you about to say I could see that being actually the case with you, Steve?
no, no. There is a singer out there that Bob Dylan is who I'm thinking of, who
Oh,
I can't understand how he got so famous. This is the argument my brother and I have been having for years. Um, the thing is, if you're a coach and you're cheering somebody on who doesn't have the talent to achieve that dream, that is just not the right way to go. How do you gently, share with them that, do you really think you could be successful in this? Get the feedback and everything else. Their mindset is so stuck on being that famous singer, and then they can understand why they're let down over and over and over and over again, because nobody will carry them on their label. They just suck at that. So a mindset could often get in your way. Your assumption, your perception of yourself won't necessarily align with the rest of the world's.
right.
So how do you bring that together? Is the key. Whatever you think is what's going to happen, because you're going to throw all your energy behind it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's kind of a slippery slope, right? Because I think that playing devil's advocate, you could throw it out there and say, well, if we were coaching this individual who really can't, sing their way out of a wet paper bag, and that's their dream, who are we to, squash that dream? What could be done in order to help them achieve that, right? So the mindset might be, I'm phenomenal, I'm great. I don't understand why the world is not rising up to meet me, because I hear my voice and I love it and I feel like it's great. The counterpoint is to maybe adjust that mindset slightly and say, I love the fact that you're great. How can you be better? And what steps would be necessary for you to get better so that you can get the recognition you need, so that you can be able to get the record deal and be out there and enjoy this dream you have of being an entertainer. And really, if you can sort of get them to uncover why they have that mindset in the first place, I think that's kind of critical, right? Well, I wanted to be a singer because I wanted to be famous. I wanted, people to know me and acknowledge me. Well, what if singing wasn't your path? What if there were other paths to get there and do that? Still be able to get that level of recognition and potential fame, but we just approach it from a little bit different perspective, right? Giving them the ability to shift that mindset somewhat differently, I think is pretty critical. But I think it's an interesting conundrum when you had, this example is the singer that you're talking about. I mean, that's a tough call right there. You hear and when they sing and you have dogs howling, but they don't see that. It would be a hard situation for you to be able to overcome that mindset. You got to have a little admiration for their ability to not see how uh, poorly their career direction or choice at that juncture might be. So it's a matter of kind of shifting and guiding them maybe into a different direction, but probably getting to the heart of what that issue is that they're trying, whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. I think probably is one way to start them down a different path.
That's it. And our mindsets are so powerful. And they stem from all kinds of programming.
Yeah.
You think of little kids in this day and age. I'm amazed at how, these team sports that they're doing now. The I don't know, the philosophy is we're going to give every single kid a trophy because they all did their best.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the worst kid on the team gets the same trophy as the best kid on the team, is not what the world brings to the table.
Yeah.
That's not the way of the world. So later on, the kid only wants to be a professional soccer player or football player or whatever it is because they got trophies all the way going up, through school. So they were told they were the greatest thing, since I say 7 Up. Ray looks at me like I'm nuts, sliced bread. So um, our mindset is how we've been programmed.
That's true. I mean,
Some people think, sorry, what were you going to
go ahead.
say?
Go ahead.
I was going to say some people think that, they were born to be leaders and they were born to lead an organization. And everything that has been illustrated shows that that is not the case. Things start breaking down and then it's everybody else's fault because they were born to be leaders. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like talking to a brick wall sometimes to help them see reality rather than their perception.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting example that's actually out in today's news. By the time this episode airs, it may be old news by this point, but there was a letter that was generated to Elon Musk yesterday from the Twitter employees, a subset of Twitter employees. And they basically are listing out their demands for him to understand and follow through with when he acquires the company, which now is supposed to happen. That deal is supposed to happen at the end
Oh,
of
wow.
the week. The interesting thing was these were, I saw a tweet on this that said, well, here's your participation trophy generation right here, because they were dictating terms to him. And theoretically, you've got this billionaire that is buying this company, and it was very much like the tail wagging the dog in terms of their approach and their effort. But the article that I read, and of course, a couple of the example tweets that they shared, was just how out of touch that mindset is, right? Using that as an example for what we're talking about here, in that they have this mindset that they hold all the power, that the company operates and runs because of them. And if they were not to be there, he's talked about, Elon Musk has talked about reducing the headcount, a lot of redundancy in positions, and lowering, the number of Twitter employees that there are. And they're saying you can't do that because we're entitled to these jobs, and we're entitled to these salaries, and we're entitled to, be in these positions. And even thinking about doing it would have dire consequences to the company, because we're the genius behind it, not you. And I just think that's kind of a really interesting perspective to align with this mindset and how broken that potentially is. How many of the people that signed that letter had that list of, or had that on their trophy shelf, probably 12 participation trophies, from participating in whatever events that they might have been there, because there's that sense of entitlement that is a little bit scary, and it's a little bit disconcerting, because at the end of the day, when those mindsets are allowed to go unchecked, that's when companies fold. That's when wars start. That's when all sorts of things go awry. And so it's a difficult scenario for us as coaches, right? Because you want to be encouraging to the people that have these great visions and have a mindset for achievement of certain
Right.
things. But when you recognize that there is probably a high probability that they will not be successful going down that career path, or trying to start that company, or taking on this challenge, um, you don't want to squash anybody's dreams, but at the same time, you also are sort of there to be that sounding board and that resource to them to illuminate other alternative ways of thinking, and maybe shifting that mindset.
I would love to hear from our audience, to this airs, about how this has impacted their lives. How have they been um, reality checked, so to speak, because their dream didn't turn out to be something that they're truly aligned with? It's one thing to have a passion, another thing to look at what your calling is, and to really figure out, okay, where's my blind spot? What am I not seeing in myself? that I really need to see to make the best decision and give my highest and best contribution. I would love to hear that.
Yep.
Knowing that you could do something, understanding you could do it, and diving in with both feet, wonderful. Are you diving into an empty pool?
That's a really good point. And I think just that question, right? Where are the blind spots on this mindset that you have right now? And if you've not contemplated that, that's a great place to start, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to look, goes back to the questions that we ask in many of these episodes. Are you asking the right questions? Are you, involving people who love you and respect you and but will be honest with you, right? And will, to a point, maybe brutally honest about, whether you're headed into an empty pool or not. I think that's a really powerful thing. I think that it's important because it allows you to do that gut check and that, that have that perspective and understanding of where you are by taking the time to stop and recognize where you are. Is it realistic? Does it make sense? What happens if it doesn't work out? What will it mean to your career? What will it mean to your reputation or your family, your financial success? There's all these different avenues to look at. But I think, like you said, it would be interesting to see if this topic of mindset, I can see that this episode could be a little bit controversial. We could get some really unique feedback on this one because, there are kind of two sides to the issue.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I'm
Well,
sure we could discuss this till the cows come home, but I think we should probably leave it here and wait to
yep.
see what some of our listeners come back with.
Are the cows coming home with the 7 Up and the white bread? That's what I want to, or sliced bread.
Oh, don't start with me. I'll give you another, Donna-ism. My father taught me that if cows are lying down in the field, it means it's going to rain.
Uh-huh.
And I told my father-in-law that, who was a farmer way back when, and that the cows are lying down, it's going to rain. He said, "What in the world are you talking about? What if some are down and some are standing up?" I said, "Sunny with cloudy periods," and that was it.
Some are optimists and some are realists.
Exactly. There you go.
I love it. Well, Donna, how can people share their thoughts on this episode and get involved in this in what we're doing with Inquiring Minds? Because we are starting to pick up some really great momentum, having some great conversations, and getting some great comments back from our listeners. But if you happen to be new to the show, how do you become involved in our community?
Well, our parking zone for the conversations and everything else is our Facebook group, Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper. Join it and join the conversation. Let us know, what you want us to discuss, or if something resonated with you. We'd love to hear. Um, it would be great for all of us. And just introduce yourself when you do join, and let us know a little bit about you. You could also find our podcasts on multiple channels, and of course our YouTube page. You could respond there, as well as our websites. Steve's at ripplecentral.com, the king of the ripplers. I'm at donnacarlin.com, Carlin with a K, and we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate everybody spending time with us. We enjoy the opportunity to get together once a week and share these thought-provoking topics and subjects with you, because we know and we hope that you'll take these things forward into your own lives and ask these questions around the dinner table or your boardrooms, because they are really, really unique and powerful ways to get conversations started and hearing some really and learning about other people's perspectives and approaches on some of these subjects. So we'd love to hear some of the experiences that you're having out there, and encourage you to continue to, listen to the episodes and go back to some of our older ones, because each and every one of them is packed with some really great material. So we appreciate you paying attention. We appreciate you listening or watching wherever this show may find you. And we'll be back again with another episode of Inquiring Minds very soon.
Have a great one.
You too.